G'day mates, welcome to the Great Aussie Parmi Hunt.
Every country has its national dish, but what about Australia? Some might say it's the meat pie, others might say kangaroo. Huh? But we Aussies know that nothing beats a perfectly cheesy, juicy, delicious chicken parmigiana.
You heard that right. The chicken parmigiana, or parmi as we like to call it, is loved by Aussies everywhere. From casual pub meals to fancy restaurant menus, you can order a chicken parmigiana in every town in Australia.
Join me as I travel around this great southern land, across 5 of Australia's largest cities, 10,000 kilometres in search of the ultimate chicken parmi.
It's time to get serious about our parmis. Who's got the cheesiest? Who's got the juiciest? Who's got the most mouth-watering chicken parmesan in Australia? I've got my knife and fork, I've got my appetite, and I've got my stretchy pants. So let's go find out.
Passengers upon a flight 451 to Melbourne will using the left-hand side. General boarding will commence shortly. Please remain seated until your seatbelt is closed.
We're about to board the first flight. This one's to Melbourne. It sounds a bit crazy actually, travelling all the way around the country just to find the best parmi. Australia is a very big place.
We welcome all remaining passengers on flight 451 to Melbourne to board using the right-hand lane.
That was quite a smooth flight to Melbourne. Melbourneites claim to have the best coffee in Australia, so let's go and see if they also have the best chicken parmesan.
Ah, the classic Aussie parmi, or parma if you're in Melbourne. Crumb chicken breast, cooked perfectly so it's crispy on the outside, but lovely and juicy on the inside. Topped with a tomato-based sauce, ham and mozzarella cheese, and served with chips and salad. Whether you have the chicken on top of the chips or have the chips on the side, in Australia we never have it on spaghetti. And of course, accompanied by a nice cold beer. My mouth is watering just thinking about it.
So I've come straight to Fitzroy, which is a cultural and culinary hub here in Melbourne, just north of the CBD. So if we're going to find the best parmi in Melbourne, this is probably a good place to start. Sitting at the rooftop bar in the Birmingham Hotel, Fitzroy, Melbourne. The Birmingham was voted the best parmi in Melbourne for 3 years in a row, so I think it's a good place to start. Just looking at the menu and there's a lot of choice of parmis. That's interesting. I think we'll just go with the chicken parma for today. The parmi has arrived. Looks a decent size. Looks like a nice thick chicken breast. A little bit skimpy on the salad. $27 for the parmi, but if you come on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, it's only $17. Anyway, let's dig in and see what it tastes like. The breadcrumbs are nice, they're not too thick. And the chicken breast is nice and juicy and not overly cooked. A bit of tomato sauce here on the side for the chips, which is good. It's always good to have some tomato sauce on your chips. So that was a nice meal. I really enjoyed it actually. It was nice, thick chicken breast. It was juicy. It was nice taste. I really liked it. The cheese was nice. The only thing was the ham was only little thin strips of ham. I like it a little bit more substantial. Just about finished it all. I couldn't have had any more. I think it was pretty good value. The atmosphere, it's really nice up here in the rooftop bar, and especially on a sunny night. It's been 30 degrees here today in Melbourne, so it's quite warm. So sitting outside with a little bit of a breeze coming through. It's really nice. However, downstairs it's a little bit dark, so I would certainly recommend coming up here to the rooftop area. Enjoy it a lot more. Alright, well that's one chicken parmi done and dusted. I think it's time now we head off to Sydney. Hello Sydney. Hopefully we'll find somewhere to go and have a parmi with a view of the harbour. That would be beautiful on a day like today. Let's go and see what we can find. There's a cruise ship in today. The view from the Opera House is amazing, and there's certainly plenty of places here to eat. But to find our parmi, we need to go to the other side of the Circular Quay, to the old historic Rocks district. The Rocks is full of lovely sandstone buildings and it's heritage protected, and they're still doing excavations at sites around, finding ruins and foundations from some of the old buildings that were built around the early times of Sydney. But now we're going across to the Glenmore Hotel, which is high up on the hill, overlooking the Rocks and the harbour below, and hopefully we'll have a good parmi. So I've come to the Glenmore Hotel for lunch, and they have a lovely rooftop bar with great view over the Rocks district and then the harbour below. It's high up on the hill. Can't fault the view, that's for sure. I've ordered the parmi for lunch. It's $30, so a bit more pricey than down in Melbourne. Hopefully the view can make up for that. Well, if only that cruise ship wasn't there to spoil the view of the Opera House. Lydia and I recently returned from a cruise that left from Circular Quay, so we know exactly what the view looks like. It must be one of the most beautiful harbours in the world to cruise into, Sydney Harbour. So there's my parmi and drink. First looks, doesn't look quite as good as the one in Melbourne. Chips aren't as chunky. The chicken looks a bit thin and crispy. So we'll dig in and we'll see how it goes. So I'm not a huge fan, to be honest. It was a bit thin and crispy. If you like your parmis like that, well, you'll love it, but I like it a bit more thicker and juicier. The base of the breadcrumb batter was a bit soggy, but there was heaps of cheese, so if you like cheese, this is your parmi. It wasn't a big serving. I was able to eat it comfortably at lunchtime, but what it does get points, big points for, is this view. So the atmosphere of the place up on the rooftop bar, it's great. It's lovely up here, lots of people having a drink, enjoying themselves. Thank you, Sydney. It's been a lovely day here at the Sydney Harbour and the Rocks. City number 2 tick, parmi number 2 tick. Now it's time to head to the airport for a flight to Brisbane, and we'll see what Brisbane has to offer. Okay, see you in Brisbane. Welcome to Brisbane. After Sydney, I went home for a night in my own bed. Flew out of Newcastle Airport this morning.
flew up on a little Dash 8 propeller driven aeroplane. It was a little bit bumpy. It was nice when we left Newcastle, but coming into Brisbane, the weather's not the best and it's pretty windy. Trying to find a spot out the wind at the moment, but yeah, it was pretty windy and a bit bumpy coming into land. I've come down to the Brisbane River now. There's a walk that follows the shoreline of the river on both sides. Lovely walk on a nice day. Unfortunately, Brisbane hasn't put on the weather for us, but we're not here for the weather. We're here for the chicken parmesan, so let's go see what we can find. Just walking along the south bank now, on the south side of the river, as the name suggests, and it's got lots of parklands and swimming spot like the one behind me, lots of restaurants, pubs and cafes, so a lovely place on a nice day to come and spend your afternoon in the sun. Well, I've heard the Queenslanders love their parmis, and I know that they love their beer, so I couldn't think of anywhere better to come and try the next parmi in Brisbane than the Brisbane Brewers Co. It was a no-brainer to come here, really. I looked up Google for the best parmi in Brisbane, and first 5 sites that I came to, this place was number 1. I basically had no choice but to come here, so hopefully it lives up to its reputation. My parmi's arrived and it looks good. It looks the best so far. Look at that lovely salad, chunks of ham, nice chips. The waiter brought some tomato sauce for me. I'm looking forward to tucking into this. It looks really good. Oh, that's nice and thick. Look at that. Yum. It's nice and crunchy. That's the best ham I've had. It's got a bit of saltiness to it. And their own brewed pale ale is really nice too. That was so good. If I had another stomach, I would eat that again. It was good. For the ham especially, just the saltiness of it was amazing. It really made the dish. So I'm satisfied. I cleaned the plate and I lick it. It's so good. I really recommend coming to Brisbane Brewing Co. It's a co or company? I don't know. But anyway, spelt co. Next flight is a long one. It's all the way across to Perth, which is over 4,000 kilometres. So that's even further than from London to New York, or from New York to Los Angeles. So it's a long flight. Perth is built on the banks of the Swan River, which snakes around through it. It's a very laid-back kind of city. There's a nice walking path that follows the foreshore and lots of trees and parklands to keep you shaded on a day like today. weather's always perfect when I come to Perth. It's always lovely and sunny. It must be a great place to live over here in the west. It's the capital of Western Australia. It's more than 4,000 kilometres from Sydney, so it's like another country. It's a very pretty city. I think it's been voted in the top few of the most livable cities in the world. But I've crossed the river now to the south side where Optus Stadium is. Next to that there's a pub called the Camfield, and the Camfield claims to be the largest pub in Australia with 5 bars and 175 beers on tap. Their parmis have received good reviews. I think there's an Aussie Rules football game on today, so it might be busy in the pub, we'll see. Well, it is a very big pub. There's lots of bars. I've found a nice seat overlooking the beer garden, but it's quite loud with the TV playing the football in the background. So they advertise over 170 beers on tap, and that's probably right, but it's the same beer served in every bar. We've got a Little Creatures, which is one of my favourite beers, and it's a West Australian local beer, so I'm very happy. I've ordered my chicken parmi now, so I'm just waiting for that to arrive. But hopefully it's as good as the weather. Oh, thank you. Lovely, thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much. Cheers. My parmi's arrived. Looks a nice size, and the salad looks good. At the Camfield they put their parmi on top of the chips. Some people prefer it that way, other people don't. Some people think the chips go a bit soggy when the parmi's on top. Looks like plenty of cheese and nice crispy breadcrumbs. It's a good thickness. That mozzarella cheese is yummy as well. It's really nice. Yeah, the chicken's cooked perfectly. It's crispy all around. It doesn't have a soggy base. It's a reasonable thickness. It's not the thickest, but it's not the thinnest for sure. The sauce is okay. Haven't really had a bad sauce. Nice chips. Well, that was a very enjoyable chicken parmi. It was probably the largest one I've had so far. I just managed to finish it. Overall, it was really nice. There wasn't one particular component of it that stood out as being the best, but as a package, I really enjoyed it. So I've just heard that there's a game next door at this football stadium tonight. So I might go and see if I can get a ticket, and we might go and check out an Aussie Rules footy game. What do you reckon? Back in Perth Airport again, ready for the flight back across the country. I will see you in Adelaide. Welcome to Adelaide. Adelaide's a very pretty city. It's surrounded by lots of parks and gardens. It still has its central business district with its famous Rundle Mall for shopping, and it's got a central markets, which is nice to get all your fresh fruit and veg and meats and cheeses. Biggie. It's also nice to catch the tram from Adelaide CBD down to the beach at Glenelg. There goes the sun. So romantic. Lydia, if you're watching this later, you should be here. Heading down Rundle Mall again. This time heading to our destination for Adelaide's chicken parmi. This one is actually a personal recommendation from my daughter. This place is actually called the Schnitzels. I'll say that again. Schnitzels. And they're famous for lots and lots of different flavours of schnitzel. But we're here for one in particular, and that's the chicken parmi. Okay, I'm at the Schnitzels and I have got my Cooper's Sparkling Ale, which is probably one of my favourite beers. It's brewed here in Adelaide, so I'm a happy man. Ultimate Schnitzel parmi. It even has side of parmi meatballs, so we'll see how that tastes. $36.90, so it's on the expensive side, but it is our last chicken parmi of the trip. I've decided to go all out. Well, my ultimate Schnitzel parmi has arrived. It looks big, very big, and I don't know about the meatballs. Healthy looking salad. Chips look nice and big. Oh, nice thick cut chips. Alright, let's dig in and see how it tastes. I've just realised that this isn't one schnitzel, but two, and look how thick that is. Oh my goodness, that is huge. That is absolutely humongous. I'll be doing very, very well to finish this one, I'm sure. Biggie, biggie, biggie. Well, I couldn't talk much in there because of the music, but that was huge. That was ginormous. I don't think I even finished half of it. Or I could have shared it with somebody if I had somebody to share it with, or I could have taken it home and had it for dinner tomorrow night if I lived here. But yeah, it was big. It was thick, it was nice. It wasn't quite as juicy and tender as some of the other parmis I've had, but it wasn't too bad. The ham was just thin sliced ham, so I didn't really rate that as highly as some of the other ones. It could have done with more cheese. There was parts of the schnitzel that were naked, which is a no-no. It has to have cheese all over it. It wasn't my favourite parmi, but it wasn't bad. At least I had Cooper's Sparkling Ale, which is one of my favourite beers, which is always a plus. Adelaide may be the home of some of the best wine districts in Australia, but it's also home to Cooper's Brewery. So the Cooper's Sparkling Ale, if you haven't had it, do yourself a favour, give it a go. So now's the time you've all been waiting for. I'm going to get out my spreadsheets and tally up the scores and see who wins Australia's best parmi in my small survey at least. All that remains to complete my circuit of Australia is a final flight back to Sydney, and then I can announce the much anticipated winner. Home now after travelling around Australia. 5 states, nearly 10,000 kilometres, and I've tasted 5 incredible parmis. But now it's time to crunch the numbers. Well, it's been a difficult decision. There was only a split hair between all of them. But after all of that, the winner is, drumroll please, Brisbane! Yes, Brisbane, with its beautiful ham topping and its overall deliciousness, wins the crown for the best chicken parmigiana in Australia. Brisbane, you really know how to make a killer parmi. Well done. And please let me know in the comments below your favourite place to have a parmi. Thanks for coming with me on the great Aussie parmi hunt. Please hit like and subscribe below if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you roving with the roving bellies next time.